So, welcome to Emerge with our guest, Georgie Clarke. So, Georgie is a somatic coach and sensual embodiment facilitator. Through one-to-one somatic coaching, group programs, and sensual embodiment sessions, Georgie's work focuses on supporting women in building confidence, self-worth, and the courage to express the truth of their hearts so that they can cultivate healthy, vibrant, and meaningful love lives, harmonious relationships, and fulfilling careers. So Georgie and I explore many things, but we explore why clarity isn't found in the mind, but in the body. We talk about mission versus embodiment, learning your own somatic language, and how 5 minutes of silence can recalibrate an entire day. We also name the sneaky bypassing in self-development, the integration gap between the studio and real life, and Georgie's honest story of burnout and what it really takes to rebuild capacity with breath, presence, and play. Hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to Emerge. I'm Feeny, a breathwork teacher and somatic guide, and each week I share unfiltered conversations with people who've turned challenge into transformation. Come for the stories, stay for the wisdom, and leave with practices to support your own healing and growth. Hello, Georgie. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm so
nice.
excited to be here.
So wonderful to have you here. To those of you who don't know, Georgie is one of my great friends. She's a wonderful teacher, and I'm so excited to have her on the podcast today. So I want to really just kind of dive straight into the meat, to the juice.
Yeah, let's get into the juice.
And I want to, we love the juice, don't we? None
We
of this
love the
fucking
juice.
around. Although we like a little bit of the fucking around, but
Give me the meat with a little bit of fucking.
Oh my God. So, yeah, I want to ask you, first of all, what is it that drives you in life? What is it that motivates you and really drives your life force forward?
Oh, wow. That's such a great opening question.
That's a big one, isn't it? Just,
Yeah.
feel free to close your eyes if you want to kind of feel into it.
What really drives my life force at the moment, and what I'm deepening into more and more, is the connection to my body. It sounds so simple, but the more and more I can come back to my body, the more and more I can connect from that space, the more aliveness just naturally flows through my body, the more energy I have, the more life force I can give to myself and to others. So it's not so much necessarily your quote unquote mission or passion as that too. But I think for me at the moment, it's really this like continual process of coming back to the body. And that's what fuels me without so much of a, like, this is my mission to help 1,000 people do X, Y, and Z. It's more like the more I come back to my body, the more my mission emerges. Does that make sense? And then I'm fueled from that place.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Totally. And I love that, because I feel like if you're just, what drives you is just that kind of passion to help. I feel like it might sort of burn you out in a way as well. There needs to be some sort of separation within that. So yeah, I love that. I love that.
On that, definitely, because I think I lived for so long from that place of my mission, and this is what's important. And I think even in a business, when it comes to marketing and trying to market yourself in a certain way, you almost, like, without thinking, subconsciously put yourself in a category of like, what's my mission? What's my passion? What am I here to serve collectively? And yes, they're all amazing things that we all want to be connected to, but without the connection to the body or my own energy or aliveness, they become surface level in a way. They don't have the same effect or impact. They don't have the same profundity for myself, for other people. And that can be so felt, that disconnection from the body, which is fueling that. And so I love that, what you said, like it does burn you out because the deeper connection isn't there to serve from that place. But yeah, I
Yeah.
really resonated with that one.
And yeah, connecting more with the body. I mean, it is just one of the biggest kind of issues of our time, isn't it? This
Mm,
disconnection from body and over identification with mind. And it's just this kind of
mm,
brings up this idea of we have such a good understanding or like a language for the mind, but this sort of
mm.
language or of understanding the body's language, we're not taught this at school, are we? So it's and I'm always
No.
amazed at how sometimes, no no disrespect to anyone because I
Mm.
was absolutely exactly the same, how little people understand the sensations or can even connect to anything that is going on in the body because it's not something that is taught.
Yeah, no, we're not taught, and there's so much that stops us from being taught that, like centuries gone by of yeah, repressing all those sensorial cues, the emotions attached to those sensorial cues. And I
Yeah.
was literally just having a conversation with someone the other day about this and the difference between connecting with the body and connecting with your body. Like it's
Mm,
different, if we generalize connecting with the body or the body, in a way, it's like everyone thinks they need to connect in a certain way that makes
yeah.
sense. Whereas when you start to really own and understand and recognize the language of your body, its unique nervous system imprints, its unique sensorial cues, that's what's going to change the game. If we're continually trying to listen to the body in this kind of arbitrary way, which we're told we need to connect to,
Mhm.
then we're going to bypass the profound impact of connecting with our unique bodies. Because our unique bodies are, they're all very different given the experiences we've
Yeah.
had. But yeah, there's a huge amount stopping us from connecting with the body. It's literally the work I do in the world. And so yeah, my experience has been really just learning to come back more quickly and more efficiently every time I feel like I'm disconnected from my body. And
Mm,
of course, there are going to be moments in life where we're disconnected from our bodies. We'll be doing admin or running from A to B or trying to make sense of something or communicate something, which requires a lot of mind skill.
yes.
But when we can merge that with the skill of our somatic intelligence and the skill of learning to add language to the senses that we're feeling in our body, that is powerful stuff. Like that
So
is
powerful.
so powerful. And
Yeah.
communication takes on a whole new texture.
Yeah. And also, so I'm going to ask you a little bit later about like a particular practice that you
Mm,
kind of love, to help the listeners
yeah.
and to give something tangible in that way. But talking about making space for the being with the body and connecting to your body
Mm, mm,
versus the mind. And
mm,
I'm curious to know what are the ways in which you make space for being with your body? So, not necessarily
mm,
the specific practice, but how do you make sure that you are doing this and you're not? I mean, it
mm,
could be something really simple, but how do you make
mm,
sure that you're not just in the mind and you're not allowing that
mm,
space?
mm. It does sound simple. Like my answer will sound simple, but we all know it's
Not always
not
easy.
simple in practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. For me, it's really just about creating intentional space where
Mm,
there is nothing going on, no distractions. And this is going to be much harder if you have a family or children or you've got loads going on at work. So even if it's just a pocket of time,
mm,
literally 5 minutes where you create that container for yourself to be, for me, it's all about being in silence,
mhm.
no distractions, no music even, and
Yes.
sitting and breathing into my body. And from
Mm.
that place of, this, you're a breathwork practitioner, breathing the energy into my body through the energy centers, through the chakras, helps to
Mm.
awaken what is there to be felt.
Yes.
It can be pretty hard just sitting in silence and going, what do I feel right now? That's a
Mhm.
classic question that people don't know how to answer a lot of the time, especially with the sort of stigma around, and what are you feeling right now? Instantly, people clock off. Instantly,
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know. I don't want to tell you. I don't know what I'm feeling. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling.
Mm,
But yeah, so really for me, it's about using the breath to open up the pathways of listening to the senses in my body in that very moment. And it might change from moment to moment. It might be
mm,
I'm feeling something in my body, a sense or a sensation, or that might not make sense. Doesn't have to make sense. It's all about just feeling
yeah.
what's there. And that might change in 30 seconds if I allow myself to feel it. So when I say it like that, 30 seconds, 5 minutes seems like a really sufficient amount of time to
Mm,
just sit with what's arising.
yeah.
And that can be really uncomfortable. I understand for so many people how uncomfortable that is. And it was once incredibly uncomfortable for me.
Mm,
And I'm now in a place in my life where really any intense emotion can arise. And from the ability to sit in that space and feel the senses in my body without trying to make sense of it, without trying to change it, without trying to force or fix or do the practice for an outcome, I
yeah.
then experience a huge amount of pleasure in my body every
Mm,
single time. And that's not
wow.
the point. That's not the point. But ironically, that's just what
Mm,
happens if we
wow.
allow ourselves to really be in the senses of whatever we're
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
And that's something that's hard, I think, to come into contact with when we're so used to pushing away what might feel uncomfortable or painful or something that we just
Mm.
learned not to tolerate once upon a time in our life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that yeah, you say that it's not always been that way for you, right?
Mm,
It's very scary sometimes at the beginning to, have 5 minutes with no distractions, no nothing, and just listening to what's going on because a lot of the time the mind can be quite a scary place for
mhm.
people. Even
Yeah.
connecting with the breath can be
Yeah.
scary. So yeah, I really appreciate that you said that. And I think that's so I know you say it's simple, but
Mhm.
as you say, it's also not simple in practice.
Mm,
And I think a lot of the time people um, will not even give themselves 5 minutes, or they might be like, I'm relaxing, I'm giving myself some time, but might be
mm.
watching TV, or they might be listening to a
Yes.
podcast, or even,
Yes.
oh, I'm going to sit down and do a guided meditation, which of
Mm,
course is great to do a guided meditation, but then you might not actually be truly sitting with what is there, right? It can be another way
mm,
of actually slightly
mm.
remaining disconnected.
Yes. Oh,
So I love
yes.
that.
Yeah. And I have to check myself with that too, even now, because I've been in the practice of connecting with my body for many years, I have to check myself when I'm in a habitual pattern of movement and
Mm,
sounding and breathing in my practice. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, because I'm so used to that now, am I actually bypassing
Mhm.
what's really there? And that takes coming back to, well, I say quote unquote simplicity, but it's actually, like we said, sometimes the hardest part. So
Yeah.
instead of creating, and I say this a lot to people, instead of creating or trying to create a 45-minute, hour long practice, can you first just sit for 5 or 10 minutes, not doing anything, like you said? And I think, yeah, we're so quick to listen to podcasts or learn more or educate ourselves
Mm.
on how to sit still, but we don't actually sit
Yes.
still.
Let's read about it or
Let's
listen
read
about
about
it.
it and learn about it, which is also a bypassing technique. And that's something that I'm very
Yeah.
aware of in myself. My A bypass technique of mine is to instantly connect with education and
Yeah.
make something meaningful out of the experience I'm having before I've actually resolved the experience within my body.
Oh,
I'm quick to go
yeah.
and write something about it. I'm quick to be like, "Oh, this is the perfect caption for X, Y, or
Yes.
Z." And I'm like, "Ooh, ooh, let's just bring yourself back to the moment because you haven't actually fully felt it yet. Therefore,
Yeah.
it's not going to fully resolve." So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
a process,
totally.
isn't it? Mm.
Yeah, and that kind of in this sort of self-development or spiritual and quote unquote realms, I don't know, whatever you want to
Mm,
call it, it's like often adding so many things in, right? And it's actually like, how can we, it's always like this focus on self-development and evolving and growing and
mm,
and
mm.
actually sometimes, yeah, that in itself is kind of bypassing what is
Oh,
actually going on.
yeah. Yeah, filling the time with more self-development.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Oh,
yes, I did that.
I know. I
And now
have
I'm
to
like,
watch
"I don't want
myself
any
for
of
that.
it."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then there comes this sort of, at least for me, there was a natural, almost inevitable phase of being a bit repulsed by the self-development space because it was almost adding to the overwhelm and the overstimulation. And that's
Yeah.
not the intention from a lot of people, but unfortunately, we do hold on if we're not in the space or even in the
Mm.
space. We kind of hold on to these things and we think, okay, I've got to do that. I've got to add it to my routine. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel X. Because if I do this
Yeah.
practice and I'm feeling shit, it's going to make me feel great. So we're still thinking about the outcome at
Yes.
all times. And
All
something that
times.
and something that I spoke to someone about recently was this idea that our, I guess, quote unquote, self development or spaces where we allow ourselves to feel good, let's say a yoga class, or any sort of class or session, we isolate it to that session. And then as soon as we
Yeah.
come out of that session or yoga class or whatever it is you like to do to feel good, which is amazing, as soon as we come out of it, we're then right back to where we were before. So it's
Yeah.
how do we integrate the lessons from those spaces into real life, into everyday moments, or when you're really stressed at work, or when
Absolutely.
you're running from A to B, when you're looking after your children. So, how do we invite the pockets of connecting with our body in the
Mhm.
busy moments? That's the real skill because that's
Yes.
life. That's life. And yes, being in
Yeah.
these beautiful spaces which are set up to help us deeply connect are needed as well, absolutely, because it helps train the muscle so that we can then use it in our everyday life. But what I do see is people not integrating that experience into everyday life. So they're living in
Yeah.
this constant high to low, high to low, high to low, unsustainable rhythm. And again, it's a skill that none of us have
Absolutely.
mastered. But being aware of it, even if you're running from
Yeah.
A to B and being able to take a breath, that can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, not just, doing a yoga session, having it as your tick. Okay, there's my well-being done. That's
Mhm.
my, my, that's the well-being for the day. Now I can go back into my chaos.
Yeah, exactly, and feel
Yeah,
in the head again. Yeah,
exactly. And I
yeah.
find it with clients sometimes as well. And it's very much in a similar vein of we do the breath session, and I say like, make sure you do your practice at home or like be more mindful of your breath throughout the day or whatever it might be. And they come back and life has kind of got hold of them in the next week and they're like, I haven't actually thought about my breath once. And,
Yeah.
it's like, it's a very, very challenging thing. I mean, even I'm sure
Mm,
you find the
mm.
same. And we're both practitioners and we, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
who has
Yeah.
mastered it fully whilst being in the world and not actually sitting on a mountaintop, right? It's
Yeah.
a very, very, very challenging
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and then we get into this pattern, or at least I know I once got into a pattern which I've only really come out of in the last couple of years, or learnt to maneuver a little bit more skillfully, and wow, I have so far to go. But it
Mm,
definitely uh, influenced my ability to remain connected and intimate in so many areas of my life because I felt that I kind of had to do it all on my own in my own
mm.
space and be that kind of isolated monk on a mountain
Yes.
in my own head. Otherwise, I didn't have the energetic capacity yet to
Mm,
stay connected and present and intimate with life, with people, with those busy moments. And I think that
mm,
is normal. If you've come
yeah.
out of an extremely overwhelming time in your life, which I did when I was about 24, 25, I experienced burnout and depression. And it's a necessary part of the process of really turning inwards and applying the boundaries in a way which is supporting you and resourcing you, and learning that when you become more resourced, you're able to connect and stay present and find those pockets in the overwhelming or busy moments.
Mm,
And I think that's a real practice which is no quick fix, particularly if you've experienced burnout or overstimulation or overwhelm in that way. Um,
yeah.
Or maybe it's not even burnout, whatever it is for whoever's listening. But for me, it's been it was a good 6, 7 year process of reintegrating the part of me that was actually able to do more and to actually integrate the beingness in those moments of doing so that I could
Mm.
show up for life in the way that I actually really wanted to. And that took a lot of nervous system healing and somatic work, which was, I'm making it sound like a long, arduous journey. It's not. It's not arduous. It's actually incredibly fun and playful. And you come into contact with these parts of yourself which can be uncomfortable and then extremely powerful. It's such a beautiful journey. But yeah, talking to that, the overwhelm, it's a necessary pathway, I think. At least for me, it was a necessary pathway. This almost holding my hands out in avoidance because I needed that protection within myself. I needed to build that resilience within
Mm.
myself before I was able to actually then come into contact with those moments again.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
so much to say.
I was gonna say this, because obviously this podcast is about, pivotal moments, moments that change us, and this burnout that you're talking about in this really
Mm.
challenging period. Would you say this is one of the biggest
Mm.
turning points in your life?
I was thinking actually before I came on this podcast, I was like, man, I have so many pivotal moments. how
Wow.
do I how do I condense it to
Yeah.
a few big ones? I think that's just the nature of the work I do. I feel like I'm always joking to my friends. I'm like in a constant death rebirth cycle,
Oh my god,
which
I feel
becomes
you.
yeah, but yeah, so condensing it to sort of the big pivotal moments. That was, I think, the first groundbreaking, hugely awakening moment of my life when I was 24, 25. Um, Essentially, I experienced burnout at a, I don't know, you might say young age.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
only been in the working world for a year. No, I'd been in it for a couple of years, a few years. But the first year of being in the working world, I was in a job that was completely thankless and very out of alignment with who I was in nature, a very unsupportive environment, very unnurturing,
Mm.
and very late nights, long hours. It was film PR, so the entertainment industry. Yes. Oh yeah,
It's
she's nodding.
the kind of place where you're just meant to be grateful to be working, right? Despite
Exactly. Oh,
how
you
much
should
they
be
run
so
you to the
grateful.
ground.
Oh, so grateful. I'm working at one of the biggest, most successful companies, and I'm working with the biggest successful celebs, which
Yeah.
I did not give a shit about.
Yikes.
I did not care. Oh, XYZ is going to be on the red carpet today. I literally don't
Yeah.
care. So essentially, I was living a life that was completely out of alignment with who I was
Hmm.
and also being run into the ground. And because I'm an energetically sensitive being, I'm a sensei. And this was a part of me that I hadn't fully owned yet. I hadn't fully welcomed and accepted. And so I believe that perhaps I was more susceptible to burning out much more quickly
Yeah.
because of my energetic sensitivities. And at the time, I felt so weak and vulnerable, and that there was something wrong with me, or that I was going to be seen as a snowflake, or, someone who wasn't capable or able to have a really successful career because of
Yeah.
my energetic sensitivity. And so what happened, I was only there for a year, and then I went on to another job, which was lovely, much smaller, much more nurturing, still in the world of PR and well-being PR. So it was much more aligned with my interests. But even though I was then working in a beautiful place, the experience of being run into the ground and being in an environment that was deeply unsupportive and unaligned for me
Yeah.
was still in my body. Or that experience was still very much in my body. It was dense. I also had really awful self-esteem problems after that job.
Mm.
And it was the first time in my life I'd really felt what it was to not be confident, to lose, all belief in yourself. My worthiness wounds were obviously
Mm.
coming up to the surface a lot. But at that time, I didn't have much awareness of what they were, or, what even a worthiness wound was. Then a couple of years later, it was only when I was working in this environment with an absolutely wonderful boss who was so emotionally attuned and aware. She, I was crying every day pretty much. I was really teary. I had no emotional resilience at the time. And that's what happens when we become completely overwhelmed and we're not connecting to ourselves or our bodies and just pushing, pushing, pushing through. At least that was one of my symptoms. Being a
Mhm.
sensitive human. I'm a crier. It's one of my USPs. I love crying.
I feel you.
But but at the time, I didn't see it. So I didn't see it like that.
Yeah.
And she very kindly, said, "Gee, I love you, but maybe take a month off and see how you feel. See how you feel if you want to come back." And that was such a beautiful moment for me to have that support, to
Yeah.
be seen and held without judgment.
Which is so
I
rare in like a corporate space, right?
Oh,
'Cause
so
I
rare.
had some issues kind of similar, and
Mm,
and it was not met with the same support, and I just remember being like, "Wow." And actually it was working within, the psychology field, and I just thought, "Wow,
mm.
if people aren't supportive in this environment, what must it be
Oh,
like in other environments?" And
yeah,
so, yeah, it's, obviously that was kind
yeah,
of really fortunate to have, but even,
yeah.
even then, obviously it's so challenging.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could really dive into that about, I really feel for psychologists and
Yeah,
therapists because I know that a lot of them are burnt out and working themselves into the ground and not being paid very much. And it's an
absolutely.
institution still, isn't it? There's
Yes.
a way of learning and a way of being that is,
Yeah.
yeah, that they have to kind of adopt. So yeah, that's another
Another
topic really,
segue.
but another segue. We love a segue.
We do love a segue. We haven't done it
We
too
love
much yet, so it's
We haven't
I'll see
yet.
how we
Watch
go.
out, everyone. Watch out.
Could be a 3-hour
Um,
podcast before you know it.
exactly. But yes, it was deeply challenging because even being seen even being seen in my vulnerability and in what I perceived as feeling very weak at the time
Mhm.
was really difficult. I didn't want to be seen like that. I didn't want to be seen as someone who couldn't work, who wasn't
Mhm.
capable, who wasn't efficient or working to the best of her ability. And realistically, that's what happens when we experience burnout. We are not working to the best of our ability because our
Yeah.
capacity is completely stunted.
And a lot
So,
of these more masculine things, right?
yeah,
Efficiency, kind of
mm,
drive, all these things is like that we
being a
need in the corporate world.
multitasker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is
Oh, yeah,
like
oh, yeah.
multitasking. I mean,
Multitasking. What the hell?
what a
I'm a
load of shit.
monotasker. What a load of shit.
I do not believe that anyone actually efficiently multitasks. I don't think it's possible.
I
you cannot
completely agree.
focus on 2 things at once well.
Yeah. And I believe if you want to be present, if you want to be deeply engaged, if you want to have true intimacy, you can't be multitasking. You just can't.
No,
You got to
no.
be monotasking. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, these ways of being were so at odds with my nature, my essence, my values, what I wanted out of life. And that was to be really deeply intimate with myself, with the world. Again, that's another segue. But back to the timeline.
Gotta start
I
writing these
then
down to come back
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. Back to the timeline. That was really the beginning of my quote unquote self-development journey. And
Mm,
it really asked a lot from me in the sense that it prompted me, almost forced me to come into contact with the parts of me that I had neglected and suppressed and shoved down my whole life, and all of the conditions around being a sensitively wired human, what it even meant to be energetically sensitive. I cried in
yeah.
every therapy session that I had. It was just
Mm.
a lifetime of tears coming out. And really, that was the beginning of my self development journey. So it feels like a lifetime ago now, but I know that a lot of people experience that. And it even sounds like I sometimes think this is such a common experience.
Mm.
Like, how do I put that? I didn't, I guess when I first went to therapy when I was that age, I thought, why me? I shouldn't be here. I have had a beautiful upbringing, a very supportive upbringing. I'm surrounded by gorgeous friends. I have a lifestyle that's good. And again, being seen as someone who wasn't able to hold it all together, that, but I'm the strong one. I'm not the one who needs help. I'm usually the one helping everyone else. All of these parts came to the surface,
Yeah.
all of the parts of me that didn't feel good enough. And really, that was the turning point in really owning and welcoming my sensitivity as a human.
Mm,
And from that point onwards, life became much better because I was very quick to align myself and my behavior with my values and my
mm,
body, what I was really feeling inside. So I see experiencing burnout at a young age as such a gift, because it meant that I wasn't pushing through in a world for 10, 20 years and then experiencing it much later.
yeah.
Um, so it really course corrected me. Yeah.
There's so much there in what you just said. I think also it's important to touch upon what you said about the about I've had a good upbringing, I've had good friends support around me, and I think for a lot of people it's really challenging if there isn't something really quote unquote obviously
Yes.
traumatic or challenging that would
Yes.
lead to a burnout or a depression
Mm.
or any kind of mental
Mm.
health thing going
Yes.
on. And I
Mm.
think it's so important to recognize and to remember. And I know you know this, but just to kind of remind us all is that the world we are living in is so far removed from what we evolved to live in, right? Our bodies, our nervous systems are
Mm.
this still this relatively very much similar to what they were when we were just all out in nature, out in spaciousness, and when we were running away from a tiger for maybe a couple of minutes and then, foraging or whatever else we might be doing. And now living in cities, financial issues, all of
Mm.
these things. It's like we live in overstimulation, even just being on the bus or on the tube or having bright lights at work, being in an office where there are loads of people around. It's like
Yeah.
even all these little things that are just pushing us, let alone into overwhelm, let alone really stressful workload on top of that. I think it's
Yeah.
just so important to recognize that because I think people give
Yeah.
themselves such a hard time, as you say, of like,
Yeah.
why me? What's been so bad about my life? It's like there's a
Mm.
lot that we all have to deal with, regardless of
Yeah.
the kind of the extra big T trauma.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The almost guilt that you feel for taking up the space you feel someone else is more worthy of. Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a big story for me from
Mm.
such a young age, and it still comes up sometimes, and I'm sure it will forever, but it will come up in
Yeah.
different ways, and the way I respond to it will evolve, and it's evolved a lot in the last 10 years, but I have a pattern of making myself scarce or smaller or quieter because I don't believe I'm worthy of taking up that space because I think other people need it more.
Mm.
And that created I had a savior complex, I was a fixer, I was a
Mm.
pleaser and an appeaser.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of those qualities really impacted my mm, overall life satisfaction,
Mm.
fulfillment in relationships, harmony in relationships, which will
Yeah.
be my next pivotal moment.
Ah.
We love a bit
Yes.
of romance.
Oh, yes, let's get to it, honey.
Yeah, well, it's a good way in.
Yeah,
There were many qualities that I adopted from a young age that obviously ran the show in my romantic dynamics for many years. So I
yeah,
guess if we're continuing on the vein of pivotal moments,
yeah, absolutely.
um, I guess the next pivotal moments were were to do with my romantic life. So I think in from the age of about 17 to 30, I was in this dance of kind of dancing between the safe, lovely, nice guy
Mm,
and the lustful, intensely passionate, partnership, which was full of chemistry,
mhm,
very enlivening and also exhausting. So, that whole period, I had maybe like I've been in about four serious relationships, and it was a real dance between these different ways of relating.
mm,
And so, two in particular were really pivotal for me because, again, it comes back to this theme of overwhelm.
mm.
And is unsustainability a word?
I'm not sure actually.
Overwhelm in the sense that it was very difficult to then live a sustainable lifestyle where my life force and my aliveness and my energy was consistently flowing. And so it kind of
Mm,
has the same theme as the burnout. But yeah, so a huge part of my work now and a huge part of what I'm interested in general is relational dynamics because
mm,
everything is relational. And I had two very intense, uh, highly activating relationships, which were so beautiful in many ways. And they really taught me, they taught me my, how do I put it? I've never actually spoken this out loud, which is why I'm trying to find the right words.
mm,
Um, hmm. The dance between feeling bored and unsatisfied and then seeking, craving intense highs in order to
mm.
feel alive. And this is what tends to happen if we've experienced overwhelm of any kind, because then what happens is we almost disassociate and we become flat and lethargic and disconnected and
Yeah.
detached and disengaged. And so we do naturally seek a high if we're feeling like that,
Mm.
like all these dopamine hits. So,
Yeah.
so being in intensely passionate relationships was how I satiated myself,
Yeah.
how I felt alive, how I felt connected, but it was surface level connection. It was attachments and entanglements rather than intimacy.
Mhm.
And I was mistaking lust for love and intensity for intimacy. And
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
hopefully many people can resonate with this experience. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's a real dance between like being able. So yeah, this is what it taught me really is how to fuel from my own internal well of aliveness so that I'm not at the whim of myself and my erratic responses to activated energy and desire and arousal in my body,
Yes.
or the whim of other people and how
Mhm.
they're activating me and how they're making me feel. Because if I'm at the whim of
Yes.
everyone else, then I'm just going to get into all sorts of dysfunction.
Yeah, you're just like a candle blowing in the wind.
Yeah, just swaying around.
Woo!
Woo! Blow out,
Yeah.
light up again, blow out, light up again.
Yeah. Oh my god, that is so um I think so often in relationships we're looking for the other person to
Mm,
make us feel alive, to
mhm, mhm.
satisfy our sexual needs and our aliveness and all of these things. And actually it's like, as you say, or similar to kind of what you were saying, it's like how do we actually stop both being overly affected by these external sources
Mm,
and also looking for the fuel
mm,
from outside,
mm.
and how do we give it to ourselves, right?
Yeah, and it's the age-old question. It's like, how do we not get impacted by other people, but also how do we live life? Like, that would be weird if we didn't get impacted by other people. And
Yes.
that's the question. Yeah, how do we draw on our own internal well and keep fan the flame of our own inner candle
Mm,
going such that we're supporting the aliveness of ourselves in a sustainable way. And also what I'm really interested in is there's a lot of like, oh no, but I need to do everything myself.
mm,
It doesn't matter what other people are doing because I'm taking so much responsibility over myself now. And that's, I think, something we can get into in the self development
yes.
spaces. taking too much responsibility for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So again,
Yeah.
it's a really interesting balance between being able to fuel from our own internal well of energy, which we always have access to at any time. We just need to know how to
Mm.
harness it. We need to know how to tune our body like an instrument and use all
Yeah.
of the techniques that we know how to amplify our aliveness from our own energetic state. That's, one of the most beautiful
Yes.
practices, what I'm practicing every day. And yes, when you come into contact with someone else, you're adding a whole another energetic state to your energetic state.
Mm.
So yes, it will be amplified when you are with someone else. It's not that we pretend that or try not to allow them to have an impact on us.
Yeah.
But I think it's about noticing where we're urgently seeking or craving, and therefore allowing our leaks to kind of go
Mm.
allowing our leaks.
If anyone's not watching right now, I don't know how to describe the movements Georgie's making. Like, what is it? Is that like kind of like not like spirit
So it's
fingers?
almost like dispersing your like spirit fingers. It's like dispersing your energy outwards.
Yes.
Um or erratically dispersing your energy outwards because you can't hold that amount of energy in your body without doing that. And that's why sometimes we
Mm.
get into dysfunction and we get into fights, or we start coming into contact with people that we don't actually want to be intimate with, and vice versa. Like, how can
Mm.
we hold the energy within ourselves with such integrity and such groundedness in our wombs, in our root, in the whole of our bodies, such that when we come into contact with someone else who is amplifying and activating us, we're not instantly, urgently trying to get something from them.
Mm.
And we're
Yeah.
actually, it's amplifying what we already have inside of us rather than filling a void where
Mm.
we don't feel whole without that activation from them, without their energy.
Yes.
Again, I think it's a really nuanced dance. There's no black, white, yes, no, right or
Mm.
wrong with this. And it's
Mm.
really feeling into, again, our own cues, our own
Yeah.
nervous system responses based off of past experiences, how we're responding to other people, how
Mm.
they're responding to us. We're all energy, aren't we? We're constantly being informed by energy from other people,
Yeah.
from ourselves, environments we're in, and which
Absolutely.
is, yeah,
And
just
I
where
don't know about
energy's.
you, but sometimes I always sort of thought, "Oh, I'm such an introvert," because
Mm,
and actually I probably am, but I think a lot of the time it's an energetic thing, and actually as a sensitive human, it's like being overwhelmed by the energy of others without quite knowing how to contain and protect myself. I think that's
mm,
like another practice
yes.
that we need to kind of consistently do. But I wonder
Mm,
whether anyone else resonates with that of like, because I
mm.
was being like, oh, I really love people, but I get really overwhelmed. And it's like, energetically sensitive beings, it's very easy to be
Yes,
so influenced by other people's energy. And
yes.
like with you, for example, it's so amazing. Like whenever I come away from being with you, I always feel like so alive and so
Me too.
stimulated, but and also in such an amazing way because it's like you. I mean, I can say this because I know you so well. You really have this gift of kind of a duality of you holding such profound wisdom
Yeah.
and at the same time and so we can go really deep and really kind of get to the meat as we say,
Mm.
but at the same time be kind of so hilarious, so silly, playful, like you hold
Um,
that so well. And I don't know, I've just kind
oh.
of gone into a bit of a segue here of like, I think my most favorite friends are the people who can do that, who can do both. Let's talk
Yeah.
about, our deepest,
Yeah.
darkest things, but then let's
Yeah.
just, you know,
Mm.
laugh at like the rat babies on the floor. On the floor. I don't know,
If,
George.
if anyone's watched Friends and they know that Phoebe has rat babies, we had a bit of a moment where we were really enjoying being around loads of rat babies in Covent Garden.
Oh my God, I know. It's just like so.
Weird.
This is like classic, just cracking up in public, sort of embarrassing ourselves at something just so random. People are like, what
Howling
is
at the
that?
moon.
Howling at the moon is another
Howling at the
one.
moon in the middle of
Ah!
London.
It's like,
Ah!
what the hell is up with these chicks? Hey, my loves, just a quick one from me. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. It really means the world. And in gratitude, I would like to share with you a free breathwork meditation to use in the morning to energize you, to connect you to yourself. So if you would like to download it, go to www.thebreathway.com/podcast and download it for free. Thanks for listening. How do you personally kind of
Ooh.
balance this sort of the sacred and the silly in your own journey? Like,
Oh,
is
I
that,
love that phrase.
sacred and
I
the
love
silly?
that phrase. Sacred and the silly. Thank you. That's so sweet. I feel the
Yeah.
exact same. It's such an uplifting friendship we have. And oh, it's so nourishing, so nourishing. And I think sometimes as you get older and you really learn who you are and what feels good energetically and who feels good energetically, you start to create such profound, deep, meaningful relationships as you get a bit
Yeah.
older. And that's exactly how I feel with our friendship. So that's
Mm.
been it's such beautiful meet cute. Oh, meeting.
Yes.
But yeah, how do I balance the sacred and the silly? It's a very good question because I think intrinsically I am a very playful person, and
Yeah.
play is really, really important to me. Being able to be silly, look silly, be goofy, and just play and be a bit cheeky. That's
Oh my
just an
God.
intrinsic quality of
I
mine.
Actually, I just have to say, if you only, I was going to ask Georgie at the end which actually is quite soon. Obviously, we've already just talked so much, but I'm pretty sure it was a post that you did. You have to go and check out Georgie's post on her Instagram, which she'll share with you later. But it's one of her, like, some of the posts are like, obviously there are such deep ones, but there's also like a few very really silly ones. And there's one of Georgie with a bin bag, is it?
Yeah.
She's one of my personal favorites. So just scroll down her feed and you can see, like, just look for the bin bag and you'll see you'll find to see what I mean.
Credit to Mama Gina for that one. Mama Gina gave me that. She influenced that one because once upon a time, I remember her saying, "Just get in a fucking bin bag if you feel like shit," and I was like, "Okay," and so I did it for the first time in like 5-6 years, and I was feeling so shit that day, and I was feeling so angry and so annoyed and so frustrated at everything. I had one of
Yeah.
those days, and as soon as I got myself in a bin bag and embodied the
So good.
hilarity of all those emotions and all those feelings and the world, the chaos around me that
Yeah.
day, it became pleasurable and funny. And I think there's such an important balance between the profound and the deep and adding
Mm.
levity to moments that take our breath away.
Yeah.
It's the human experience. And I think for a long time, when I was really craving deeper connection in my 20s, when I was craving more intimacy, more depth in romance with friends, I could sometimes get a little confused with
Mm.
what parts of me were required for the moment. And I think sometimes I felt like I was too deep, quote unquote, too deep, or, you know, people couldn't understand me, or, that classical wound of being misunderstood in my
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah.
And it was only through becoming more fluent in my own emotional depth and my own energetic capacity that it became so much easier for me to connect with both the profound, the sacred, and the silly. Whereas I
Mhm.
think for a long time it was like one or the other. And this came up in romantic relationships too. Like, this is why
Mm.
they've taught me so much, is that I was constantly in this dance between wanting deeper intimacy, more depth, more emotional availability, which I know is a resounding theme for many young women,
Yes.
and desperately wanting playfulness and silliness and cheekiness and play and levity. And I couldn't quite find the balance between the two in my romantic relationships, which is why I zigzagged, ping ponged from safe, good, nice without the play, and chemistry, playful, cheeky without the emotional stability or availability. So I was constantly ping ponging between the
Yeah.
two because of these qualities which I hadn't fully owned and embraced and exercised in myself yet. And it was only when I actually started to exercise them within myself and start to embody them with confidence, with courage, with more self trust, that those two qualities, well, I guess many qualities, it was much easier for them to integrate both within myself. And also, I saw that more in the partners I was bringing in to my world, whether I was with them
No.
for a long time or a short period of time. I started to magnetize very different men into my world. And it's been a really beautiful process of almost believing that you can have both at the same time. I think many women believe you can't have both of those things in a relationship.
Yeah,
It's either the safe and
absolutely.
the good and the nice, or the chemistry, the crazy, the chaotic, the passionate.
Yeah.
And it's not true. You can have
Yeah.
both.
You
As
can
so
have
long
both.
as you integrate those parts of yourself in yourself.
Absolutely. It's all from the
Mm,
out, in, out, in, out,
mm,
right? So
yeah, yeah.
within, so without.
So within, so without. Exactly.
My
Ah,
love. I'm just like, okay, I've got obviously like so many other things that I want to ask you, but
mm.
we are a little bit at time.
We are at
In terms of,
time.
as in like, I've got a couple of questions that
Mm,
I'm asking every guest so that there's a little bit of kind of continuity in that way.
yeah.
So I would love to ask you, is there a message that either
Mm,
you would have liked to have received when you were younger, or just a general message about life or something that's moving within you at the moment that
mm,
you would like to sort of impart to listeners? It's obviously a huge open-ended question, but is there anything that's coming
mm,
through? What's the first thing that might be coming through?
mm. What's coming through is sounds cheesy, but don't disregard your heart for the sake of your head, you know, or your body for the sake of your head. Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And I
I love
think
that.
learning to integrate those two in a way that you are operating from a place of truth and heart rather than being swayed by the shoulds, the
Mm.
conditions, what people think and feel. I just had a practice this morning where I had a moment of somatically feeling into my body something I couldn't quite place. And I noticed as I was in the movement of my practice that it was a frustration, this well of anger, of just, "Arr!" because I constantly felt like there was this force to make a decision before I was ready to make a decision,
Mm,
or subliminal persuasion
mm,
from other people, just about everything, life. And I had this moment. The reason I bring this up is because I was really listening to the wisdom of my body and what it needed to do. And I just pushed against a door and I kept saying, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, over and over and over again.
wow.
And and it was the most profound, like powerful realization because, well, the reason I bring it up is because I was connecting to the depth of my heart and my body and what really needed to come through. I wasn't trying to be the pleaser or the good girl or the person who lets everyone else say their thing and give me
Mm,
advice because I want them to
mm,
feel good. I was really embodied in fuck off, no. And not that I
mm.
would say that necessarily, but it brought forth the muscle of thank you so much. I appreciate your advice and I don't want it or need it right now.
Yes.
And it
Oof.
just
Love that.
and so when we have these embodied practices where we're really feeling into the truth of our heart, the truth of our feelings, the truth of our expression, we exercise the muscle that needs to be exercise in order to express ourselves in a way which feels way more aligned, way more fulfilling, and way more
Mm.
powerful. Doesn't have to be horrible, but it
Yeah.
helps bring forth the part of you that can say no or can
Mm.
state your claim, in a loving way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wanted
Sometimes
to
it
bring
does
that
need to
forth.
be that physical thing, right? And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, people pleasing, we could do a whole episode
Mm.
on that. I think you and I are
Oh,
both
yeah.
experts in that in the past and
Ex
maybe still a little bit now.
expert people pleaser recovery
Yeah.
recoverers? Recoverers,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we're in recovery. Definitely. I'm probably still in recovery. I have an
I
occasional
think I'll
like remission or whatever.
I think I'll always be in recovery of people pleasing.
Yeah,
Hell,
yeah.
you
Totally.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
But
pleasers
yeah,
anonymous. We should start whether there's that one of those. Um,
100%. Oh, that would be useful.
well, you spoke about practice
Yes.
just now, and actually, one of my questions to every guest is also like, for the listeners, is there
Mm,
a practice that you might suggest, like a simple practice that you can kind of just describe, this is what you do,
mm,
for listeners who might want to kind of try something? It could be as simple as you like,
mm,
whatever feels,
mm.
yeah, helpful.
Well, depending on what the listener wants, my
Yeah.
my suggestion would always be, because my work is around cultivating aliveness and
Mm,
energetic capacity and sustainable life force. That's really what my whole practice is and what my work is there for women to do. I would always suggest a body-based practice, and it can
yeah.
be as simple as putting your hand on your heart, a hand on your womb, breathing
Mm,
deep into your root, and just asking yourself, what is here for me right now?
mm,
What's alive in this moment? And something might come up, something might not come up.
mm. I love that. I mean, I'm
And
sure people might be doing that now. I just did it now. Yeah.
yeah, it's really the most powerful thing. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to
Yes.
be super step by step. You don't need a structure or an outline. So long as you have the safe container to flow in, it's
Mm,
obviously one of the most important parts. Set up your space so you feel yummy and delicious, and then ask yourself
yeah,
that question and just see what comes
absolutely.
forth. See what needs to be
Yeah,
spoken.
I love
Doesn't need to
that.
mean anything. Doesn't need to make sense. Just see what's there.
Just
Just
listening,
listen.
which actually,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't, as we know, we don't do enough. It doesn't, as you say, it doesn't need to be like a 10-step process with a practice. It's
No.
like
Yeah.
actually the most simple
Mm.
are often the best. We're just
Yeah. Yeah.
listening. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Mm. And I would also say, if you want to
Yes.
continue that vein and you want to really
Mm,
amplify your aliveness, sensual embodiment is
mm,
something to explore.
mm,
It's really a beautiful,
mm,
powerful practice that's really healed my nervous system wounds. It's
mm,
really amplified my aliveness, given me much more sustainable energy,
mm.
and really plugged like the leaks that I had in some of my
Yes.
behavior.
Yes.
It really unwinds holding patterns in the body, which maybe have been there for years or even
Mm,
lifetimes before. So, yeah, I think that's a great way to sort of
yeah.
unravel the density that we often feel from everyday life. So, yeah, that would be my
And
more
just
advanced
for
suggestion.
and just for listeners, do you, for who might not know what that is,
Mm,
could you give a little kind of brief explanation about what that is,
yeah,
just for those who might not know?
yeah, yeah. So, sensual embodiment. Well, those two words can come with a lot of perceived ideas and connotations, but
Mm.
essentially it's connecting deeply to your senses, the sensations in your
Mm.
body, your emotional terrain, and using your breath, your movement, sound, and voice to harness the energy within your body and channel it into the world in a way that you truly want to.
Mm.
Essentially, we're using our bodies and sensual embodiment as a conduit. Our body becomes the conduit for more pleasure, more joy, more aliveness, more life force. So, yeah, it's a it can bring up many things, but I would say that's just a small definition if people want to go and explore or try it.
Check it out more. Yeah, that sounds, yeah, I'm sure people will. And on that note as well, on this note of practice,
Mm,
different practices and because as we're obviously running over because this is us and we could talk for hours more, let us know where, first of all, where people can find
yeah.
you and then maybe a couple of offers that you've got going on.
Yeah. So people can find me on Instagram at Georgie Clarke Coach
Yeah.
or my website, www.georgie-clarke.com. And what's alive for me in my work right now, I'm about to launch an 8-week self-paced course called Ignite,
Yeah.
combining somatic exercises and sensual embodiment techniques to help awaken your pleasure, your life force, amplify your vitality, and really lean into the joy of
Mm.
life and this human experience in a much more intimate way. And it covers all sorts of things. You can check it out on my website. And yeah, that's what's most alive for me right now. What's most
Mm.
alive for me is really helping women to connect with their sensual selves, their sensual bodies, so
Mm.
that they can lead from their sensual sovereignty, lead from the somatic intelligence that they hold, which is far greater than the mind could ever comprehend or catch up with. So that's what's alive for me right now for my work, in my work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also, you guys need to check her out, like, work with her, check her out, just, get you want some more of Georgie because, yeah, she's a real I always, am quite hesitant to use the word expert. I don't like the word expert.
Mm,
I don't know,
I,
it's
c-
it's
I
even
agree.
though I do
I
see
agree.
you as an expert, it's like, I don't know, I have a bit of an issue with that word because I
I
think it's
completely agree. I agree because to me, my clients are the experts on themselves.
yes.
I'm not the expert. I'm the guide.
Yeah.
I'm the guide and the support and hopefully sharing the wisdom required to connect with yourself.
Yeah.
Not here to tell anyone what to do. I hate being told what to do. So
Yeah, absolutely, and it's
and
like, yeah,
yeah.
outsourcing to someone else as the expert, like,
Mm,
to tell you, to impart the
mm,
wisdom, it's like,
yeah.
everything we need is within, it's not gonna
Yes.
we're not gonna
Yes.
go to an expert and they're gonna give us all the answers, that's
Yeah.
not the way it
Yeah.
works, so, yeah, you've described that
Exactly.
really nicely, actually.
Yeah. And I would never pretend to know the answers, all the answers. I mean, who knows all the answers, right?
Yeah, anyone who claims that they know the answers to anything clearly do not know anything. The wisest people are the ones who actually say
I don't
how
know.
the more yeah, the more they know, the less they know, or, the older they
Yeah.
get, they realize how much more there is to know. So,
Yeah, the older I get, the more I realize I do not know. I don't know
yes.
shit.
I don't know shit about shit.
However, the more I connect to my body, the more I
Yeah,
learn about myself.
absolutely, and that, my
So
friends, is where we end. So, Georgie, my love, thank you so much for being here.
oh, thank you, my
Definitely gonna
love.
have to have you on again because there's much more to discuss. But yeah, we got to close
As
it here.
as always, we usually spend about 6 hours without taking a breath. So those are the moments where we need to take a breath.
Yes, absolutely.
5 hours with Feeny. Let's take a breath.
Oh my God, I'm
Okay,
dying.
my love. Thank you so
Oh, okay,
much.
my
It's been
love.
such a joy. Thank you. I love
Thank
you.
you. Love you.